I just got back from the best trip I have ever had. We hit up so many new amazing parks, and it was an awesome time. I figured I would take the time to stop and rank my top 10 favorites. We made it to both Universal Parks, Fun Spot Kissimmee, SeaWorld Orlando, Busch Gardens Tampa, Six Flags Over Georgia, and a surprise trip to Dollywood. Out of all 39 new credits I got, here are my top 10 favorites. Really quickly, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on those post notifications. I make awesome content and I don't want you to miss my future videos. Anyways, let's get started. Number 10, Tigris. Tigris is a premier ride Skyrocket 2 located at Busch Gardens Tampa in Tampa Bay, Florida. You might be very surprised by this ranking, but hear me out. This is an awesome roller coaster. You go through technically 3 launches before going through an absolutely twisted ride. Get it? No? Ugh. We'll just pretend I didn't say that. Anyways, this ride gives you some awesome hang time and airtime. Yes, it gives airtime. This thing is aggressive, and I'm still incredibly confused why this ride is as good as it is. It's so simple, yet so good. The only downside to me besides the length is the restraints. Ah, yes, the classic uncomfortable colors. These things are so incredibly stupid, and I don't understand why these exist. They really don't touch you through the ride. However, they can hit quite a bit throughout the ride, but it isn't too painful. Overall, this is a really stupid but fun ride, and I recommend you check it out, even if it is a clone. Honorable mention, Revenge of the Mummy. I won't spend too long talking about this short but sweet ride located at Universal Studios, Florida, but this thing packs a punch. You get some awesome airtime and some intense elements with some great theming. It doesn't quite crack this list for the lack of actual coaster elements, but don't go in thinking this will be a tame ride. You will be absolutely blown away. Number 9 is Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk is a B&M sit-down located at Universal Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. This coaster is nuts. You start by going through the launch lift hill straight into an inversion. After this, you dive down, hitting a max speed of 67 miles per hour. Holy crap, is this ride intense. I really love the insanity of this ride. It's an all-in-your-face kind of ride experience and something I truly enjoy. The inversions are all intense, and that didn't really surprise me. What did surprise me was the second half. I was expecting slow, forceless inversions, and that's definitely not what I got. I got powerful inversions with decent force, and it didn't run anywhere near as slow as it looks. Overall, this ride surprised me. I wasn't expecting such a great ride. Make sure to check it out at Islands of Adventure, but do be warned that this thing can get decently sized lines. Number 8 is Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is a Mauer X car located at Universal Studios, Florida. This ride gets a bad reputation that I simply do not understand. This ride is actually insane. You start by going up the 167-foot tall vertical lift hill, and then you go down the awesome first drop, hitting the max speed of 65 miles per hour. Yes, it's very sad that it isn't as steep as the lift hill, but that doesn't matter because this drop gives some awesome airtime. You bolt straight into a non-inverting loop, which gives some awesome sustained airtime, and go into one of the many mid-course brake runs. I have no idea why there are so many, but you get amazing airtime coming in and out of them. You go through multiple other elements, including a pretty intense helix, a janky overbank, which if I might add is pretty insane actually, and a series of bunny hills to end off the ride. Overall, I was extremely impressed by my favorite ride at the resort, and you need to check it out. Honorable mention, Wild Eagle. This awesome B&M wing coaster located at Dollywood is such an overhated ride. This thing gives some amazing hang time and okay floater airtime as well. This ride is really good for what it is, and it gets so much hate that I simply do not understand. I even grayed out. Yeah, it's sad, but whatever. Don't underestimate this thing. It is a super fun ride. Number 7 is going to surprise quite a few people, but number 7 is Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. Goliath is a B&M hypercoaster located at Six Flags Over Georgia, and you guessed it, Austell, Wyoming. Wait, oh yeah, Georgia, that's what I meant. There we go. This coaster gets a lot of hype for its great airtime and positive forces, which is rare for this type of coaster, but I honestly don't understand why it gets so much hype. But first, let's talk about the positives. This ride has some pretty solid airtime. I was a little let down by it, but it's still pretty good. A lot of people made it out to be some insane ejector that I just didn't really get. The airtime is still pretty dang good, but I do find it more in the middle of floater and ejector, or what is known as lifter airtime. You can hate me all you want, but I refuse to say the F word. Anyways, the airtime was pretty solid, but it just wasn't as strong as I would have liked. The Bunny Hill finale was a lot of fun, and I like some of the bigger hills as well, but honestly, the airtime just didn't impress me. You might be asking, then why is this over a Rip Ride Rocket? Well, it's a more enjoyable experience. There is a pretty blatant rattle throughout, but I don't mind this personally, and I find it to be a very fun ride. Not some insane coaster that is top tier and beats out 90% of the other coasters out there, but a very fun ride that is such a complete ride experience. Overall, this is a good ride that definitely disappointed me. It has some great moments and is a super fun ride that I suggest you check out if you're at Six Flags Over Georgia. Number 6, Thunderhead. Thunderhead is a GCI wooden coaster located at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This is such an awesome ride. You start by going up the lift hill and you hit the max height of 100 feet tall before plunging down the first drop, hitting the max speed of 54 miles per hour. From here on out, you go through lots of turns and dips, getting awesome lateral forces and airtime throughout. Here's a tip. If you want to ensure the restraint doesn't come down during the ride, hold it up with one hand and put your other hand up. You can enjoy a coaster like normal and keep that pesky restraint from stapling you. This tip comes from the man, Alec, himself. That's how you know it's legit. Anyways, there isn't much more to say. It is a little rough, but in my opinion, it adds to the overall experience. In general, this is an awesome ride with some awesome moments, and I highly recommend you check it out if you are ever at Dollywood. Honorable mention, Cheetah Hunt. This Intamin Blitz coaster located at Busch Gardens Tampa is a super fun coaster. There are some awesome pops of airtime, really awesome hang time on the one inversion, and such cool launches. I actually prefer this ride in the front to the back, which was strange to me as a back row rider, but there is an amazing path of ejector going into the figure 8 looking element in the front, but in the back all you get is OK floater. Overall, this is a super fun ride, but doesn't quite crack the list for this reason. My gosh, clack the list. Number 5, Mindblower. Mindblower is a gravity group wooden coaster located at Spot Kissimmee in Orlando, Florida. Wait, it isn't in Orlando? Where could it be? Oh, duh, it's in Kissimmee, Florida. I don't know why that took me so long. Anyways, this is an insane wooden coaster. You start by climbing up the 83-foot tall lift hill before descending down the first drop, hitting the max speed of 50 miles per hour. I seriously have no idea how it only hits 50, because you are absolutely flying through the layout. The inversion is so cool and gives some amazing hang time. After that, you go through some awesome turns and hills, giving some very strong ejector and awesome laterals. It also has the perfect amount of roughness. For some people, it might be a little too much, but for me personally, I like that it's got some rough spots. It makes it feel so much more out of control and causes zero pain. This is such a crazy ride, and is worth every penny. Please come down here and ride it. Number 4, Montu. Montu is a B&M inverted coaster located at Busch Gardens Tampa in Tampa Bay, Florida. This ride is phenomenal. You start by going up the 150-foot tall lift hill, and you go down the first drop, hitting the max speed of 60 miles per hour. You go through many very whippy and intense versions, and these are super forceful. Did I say versions? I meant inversions. There we go. I found every element to actually matter and do something. My personal favorite part, just like most people, is the Batwing. This pulls you down so hard, and you really feel the forces unlike any coaster I've ever experienced. The rest of the elements are also super intense. This ride is just ridiculous, and just by riding this, I have an immense love for B&M inverts. I rode this thing 8 times, and I don't regret one single ride. This is my favorite coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa, and it is such a great ride. You've got to check it out. Well, now you're probably wondering, where's Kumba? Honorable mention, Kumba. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the Well, first of all, I like your shirt a lot. Second of all, Kuba really disappointed me. It is a very, very intense ride. Probably the most intense coaster I've ever ridden. Then why is it so low? It has such a strong rattle and is nearly impossible to not get headbanging on. I normally don't have a problem with headbanging on B&Ms, but this is one exception. If I didn't get so much headbanging and it was a little bit smoother, I think I would have liked it a lot more, but it just didn't deliver the quality of ride that I wanted. Number 3, Twisted Cyclone. Twisted Cyclone is an RMC hybrid located at Six Flags Over Georgia in Austell, Georgia. This ride is absolute madness. It stands only 100 feet tall with a max speed of 50 miles per hour, but it absolutely hauls. You start by going down the awesome first drop into such a weird inversion that does nothing, so I'm gonna skip over it. You follow that up with a wave turn that gives some awesome sideways ejector. After this, the ride really starts to get crazy, with lots of small, but very powerful, ejector hills. These are some of the strongest airtime moments I have ever experienced. I love the airtime in general on this ride. It is amazing from start to finish, and packs so much from start to finish. Overall, this ride surprised me, and you cannot skip it on your visit to Six Flags Over Georgia. Number 2, Mako. Mako is a B&M hypercoaster located at SeaWorld Orlando in Orlando, Florida. This ride is amazing. It has a max height of 200 feet tall and it's a max speed of 73 miles per hour. Unpopular opinion, but this ride has better and stronger airtime than Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia, which I talked about earlier. Everything Goliath does, Mako does better. This coaster is butter smooth, and for those of you who love smooth coasters, you're going to really like this one. You get such amazing sustained airtime throughout the whole ride. It's madness. The first airtime hill gives the most sustained ejector I have ever experienced. Wait a second, a B&M Hyper has ejector? Yes, it does. Mako most definitely has ejector. It isn't strong ejector, but it is for sure ejector. It is known more for its sustained airtime, but the airtime strength deserves a lot more love, in my opinion. The ride doesn't have any positive forces, but it doesn't hinder the ride experience for me personally. I love this ride, and you have to check this coaster out. Now for our final honorable mention. Honorable mention, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. No need to worry about this topping the list. This ride, located at Universal's Islands of Adventure, fell way below my expectations. I didn't have high expectations either. I just wanted a fun ride with some amazing theming and cool elements. Instead, I got an okay ride with amazing theming and no standout elements. If this ride wasn't themed, it would literally be as good as Wavebreaker. Wavebreaker! Overall, this ride has some fun moments, but it just doesn't stand out to me. Now, on to the number 1 spot. Number 1, Whistlepunk Chaser. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Wait a second. Number 1, Lightning Rod. There we go. Lightning Rod is an RMC topper track wooden coaster located at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This ride is flat out incredible. I find zero flaws in this amazing coaster. You start by going up the launched lift hill at 45 miles per hour before going down the 165-foot drop at 73 miles per hour, making it the fastest wooden coaster ever built. I know I already said this, but this ride is incredible. You go through so many moments, each one giving some super strong ejector airtime that's unlike any other. This coaster has a total of 20 seconds of airtime. That is absolutely insane. The pops of ejector you get are the strongest I've ever experienced and possibly the strongest on the planet. There's so many amazing elements, but for me, the standout is the quad down. In my opinion, probably the best moment on any roller coaster. This ride also has the perfect amount of roughness. Smooth enough where I don't have a headache afterwards, but rough enough where it gives a way more out of control feeling. Overall, in my eyes, this is a perfect coaster, and if you are in the area, I suggest coming to Dollywood for this coaster alone. It's well worth the time and price. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please drop a like. If you haven't already, subscribe for more roller coaster content just like this. What looks like the best coaster on this list? Leave your opinions in the comments section below. I love interacting with you guys, and I respond to all my comments because I want to make sure you don't feel ignored, because Feeling ignored is actually the worst. Credits to all channels whose footage I used is in the description, as well as on screen when their footage is playing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. Peace out.
So averagely, to be safe, you want to go 1, 2, and then it'll show green on the screen, right? That's a lot of room, right? Averagely, most ride obstacles just walk by and be like, not even touch it, just, and that's how they'll test the seats, right? Okay. Now, for some reason, when they see coaster enthusiasts wearing shirts, here's how they do it. So we know 1, 2, that's safe. We want to go one more, just not make it so obvious. And then they see it and they're like, oh man, what are you doing? What's the trick? And then what they really do is just be like, here we go. And then that's what they do. All clear.